I have a graphic showing. It doesn't. Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is your girl Wanda Godsbrat of Watching Wanda's World, coming live to you this evening with my guests Nicole Ford Francis and Sean, my co-host, and Courtney, my co-host. Today we are going to be going live. Nicole is my good girlfriend, sister, cousin. We have a reason for saying that. She's certified in holistic pain management. She's an experienced herbologist and plant-based medicine practitioner. She's a former biology teacher, school administrator for Baltimore and Houston. She works for NASA headquarters and the Department of Justice, the DOD, government contractor, and VP of Business Development for a private contracting company. She is a biology, pre-medicine, Bachelor of Science from Morgan State University and Towson State University. She has a degree in special education from Coppin State University. She is a child, youth, and family studies program management. And I can't see bios. Wait a minute. I should have put my glasses on beforehand. Um, Child, Youth, and Family Studies Program Management, Biosociology, Doctorate of Education, Nova Southeastern University, and a spiritual advisor and counselor. So I'd like you all to welcome my good friend and mentor and confidant, Nicole Ford Francis.
Thank you, Wanda. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So, Nikki, well, after all of that, I feel like it's too informal just saying Nikki, but you're my Nikki.
Nikki will work. That'll work.
Okay. So Nikki, thank you so much for coming on tonight and agreeing to share with us some of your expertise. Of course, we can go in so many directions with what you could teach us, but we wanted to focus on your being a herbologist and your herbal medicine and your practices. So if you can start off by telling us, how did you get into studying herbs?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to be on this evening. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
But one of the things that I guess I can start talking about is that I was always a biologist. I was always a scientist. So when I was in my 20s, I got my degree in biology and I wanted to teach because I wanted to be a physician. I wanted to be a pediatrician at first. And so I knew I had to get a biology degree or a chemistry degree to get into medical school.
Mm-hmm.
And as a part of going to school, and Morgan State made it really hard. They didn't make it easy on you. You know, one of the classes we had to take was botany, or we had to take the flowering plants. So I love the human body and I always wanted to help people, but I enjoyed learning about the flowering plants and botany. And that was probably one of the hardest classes I ever took over top of genetics. Botany was even harder than genetics for me.
Wow.
It was so much I learned about plants, and I always was healing. My grandmother would heal people. She would do things and you just all of a sudden were okay. You know what she did? She would boil some cinnamon, you smell the cinnamon, you feel better. But you never asked, you just knew that grandma knew what to do. So based on the fact that I'd always wanted to help people, I kind of transitioned into doing things that were based on plant-based medicine. I started making herbal remedies for people, and I started making oils, really. And being a person that grew up in the church, I went to Bethel AME. I grew up in Bethel AME Church and in St. James AME in Haverty Grace, Maryland, where my grandmother had me for a long time. So in the church, everybody used to anoint people with oil.
Right.
So people always putting some oil on somebody, or somebody would pass out and fall out. I said, well, what did they have in that oil? Because I want to know how to I want to know how to make some oil that does that. Whatever that is. I want to know how to do that. So really it just came from growing up in the church. My uncle was a physician. He still is. He's a retired doctor and wanting to help people. And I began to experiment as a biologist, as somebody that understood the potency and the power of plants. And that's really what happened. I started helping people making herbs, herbal remedies for their breathing. I started helping people with hair loss. I was working with a girlfriend who was she was a doctor of Chinese medicine, a Black woman who was a doctor of Chinese medicine in Baltimore. And she said, well, Nikki, I need help with people who have problems with hair growth. So it was really out of a need. And as people found out I was doing things, they would just ask. And so it was really word of mouth and me just developing my skill set as a teacher, because as a teacher, you always want to know, you want to study, you want to know how to do things the right way. And so that's really it. It just came from me wanting to help people and finding out that there were different ways I could do it that were not new. They were ancient. You know, this is old stuff. It's not anything new age about it. This is ancient
So,
information.
what was the first? Can you recall the first book or the first book you read about herbs that got you that really solidified your interest in learning more about herbs, or the first medicine that you did for somebody that made you say, "Oh yeah, this is really it."
Okay. Well, it's a lot of books. I mean, I started studying about energy under a woman named Carol Tuttle, and Carol Tuttle was a chakra person. I started studying under Wayne Dyer, who passed away not too long ago. Dr. Wayne Dyer started talking about sound and Om, the original sound of creation, and how sound and vibrations impact the human condition.
Mhm.
But I was reading so much stuff, the Bible for one. You know, I wanted to understand what the three wise men were doing. If they knew Jesus was over there by the stars, first of all, they must have been smart. And then they brought frankincense and myrrh. I'm like, well, what is that? You know, so I was studying the Bible. I was looking at all the different herbs and oils. I started to study what frankincense did because I knew it needed to go in anointing oils, you know. So you
Mhm.
want myrrh and you want frankincense. And so I was using the Bible for my guide with that. And then I started to read more about herbs based on being a scientist. And the first thing that I really started making was a tonic. And we were calling it Mama's Tonic, right? And Mama's Tonic will help you with everything. It'll help you with your blood pressure. It'll help you with your weight. It'll help you with gut health, with your stomach being upset.
Mhm.
But this particular tonic had the base was vinegar and turmeric, which you've been using, Wanda, because that's for inflammation.
Right.
Cinnamon, which is for cooling and for inflammation. Um, a little bit of black pepper or cayenne pepper,
Mhm.
ginger, honey, clove. I mean, we could put all of the herbs that are known as master herbs because the majority of the problems people have are based on inflammation. It's
Mhm.
inflammation and dehydration. You know, so as a physician, someone who treats, if you think about the majority of the problems people have, a lot of them are based on arthritis. It's because of inflammation. You
Mhm.
know, if you have sinus issues, inflammation is the problem. I mean, so many things are inflammation caused by inflammation. So this tonic had everything in it, and people were asking me for it, and I was selling gallons of this tonic. I said, well, I can't make all this tonic all the time. Well, what if I teach other people how to make the tonic? And I have a girlfriend who has a shop here where I live. She's a natural medicine practitioner. And she was selling gallons of it for $60. I said, well, I can't sell this stuff for $60. Why don't I teach other people how to make it? And so that was the teacher in me that said, well, if we can talk to people about, I'd love to make oils for people. But if
Mhm.
there's some things you can do in your own house because it's in your kitchen, some of the herbs might be 20 years old because you forgot they were in your kitchen, but just get some new ones. But you probably have it, but you just forgot. You know, when you put
Right.
people
Dig
have
deep in
clothes,
back to the
they
kingdom.
don't use it.
Mhm.
So the goal was really to help people, but that tonic that was based with vinegar. Vinegar was what is what usually is the base for your tonics, is what I really started using. But I used the Bible and I used whatever I could find just reading articles, and there are peer-reviewed articles out here that are that are by journals that just talk about integrative medicine is what you'll find it under, or
Okay.
plant-based medicine. But that was the first thing that really kind of got people saying, if you need some help, you might want to get Nikki to make some of that tonic.
Yeah, because I can honestly, I was saying to the girls offline that Nicole, if you know me, I'm a chronic pain sufferer. I have back and leg issues, muscle spasms, and things of that nature, nerve damage. So some of the stuff that Nicole has started me on was valerian root and peppermint tea that you can get from Amazon. And the peppermint is because the valerian root really doesn't smell that good by itself, so it sort of diffuses the smell and it makes you a little sleepy, but at the same time over a little bit of time I've noticed that my nerve, the spasms that I get, the electricity like spasms are decreasing.
And you needed help with sleep too, Wanda.
And I needed help with sleep.
So
Now
it
I'm a
was
person that
doing
never
it was
sleep.
doing all of that.
Yeah, so and I needed help with sleep, and for the person that never slept, I was laying on her chase lounge and I woke myself up snoring, and I don't snore.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, now I do. Thanks to valerian root. I woke up and had the nerve to be like looking around, like who did that?
Yeah, look.
It was me.
Mhm.
And we've just been. I was battling with Eric being out of town, this spirit of depression and anxiety and loneliness. And we now was that called, that's a tincture that we made in the name of Jesus, right?
Yes, that's a tincture. But
Okay.
it has some other components, because a lot of times the tinctures are just alcohol with the plant extract.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like an elixir. That had its own thing, because we made a tea from the herbs, which were to address depression and anxiety. And then we also put some additional fresh ingredients in there with the alcohol. And I made it with hops. And if you guys know, hops is what people make beer from.
Yeah, right.
So she got the qualities of a beer in the name of Jesus, because we named the tincture in the name of Jesus. But the alcohol's not what did it. It was the hops. So when people make beer, you got yeast in there. So you get the carbonation, and a lot of people will gain weight because of the carbon dioxide, because you've added yeast and you've created, the yeast expands like bread.
The
So
bubbles.
we use hops, which helps with feelings of well-being, which is what people go to happy hour for.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They want a feeling of well-being, and so a drink usually calms people's nerves. So what you had was really kind of a tincture and an elixir, because I started with the tea, which had hops, St. John's wort, which many people take
St. John's
for
wort,
depression, right? And it helps you to sleep. And it also, we had something else called, this is a plant-based medicine level 200. I put something called mugwort in there. So
That sounds serious.
Yeah, mugwort. I forgot, but mugwort is like when you going deep, like because my depression, I suffer from depression, and it was really trying to sneak up on me, but it was coming heavy and hard and fast. So we knew we had to put in work so that I wouldn't go under. So Nicole went into the recesses of the cabinet and pulled out the strong stuff.
She reached way in the back.
She reached way in the back. Exactly. But
Yeah.
Nicole, hi Christina. What if you're allergic to St. John's wort? What can you use in that place? So Christina wants to know, what if you're allergic to St. John's wort?
Well, the thing that people have to remember about plants is if you have allergies to any plants like ragweed, I have hay fever. So there's some teas that will trigger hay fever symptoms. So I may need Benadryl, but I have to pay attention because these are plants. But something that will work if you aren't able to take St. John's wort is, and we did this too, is holy basil.
Yes, I do.
Holy basil is a different type of plant, but it still has some of the same qualities. It helps as it's a sedative. So it will help as a vasodilator, which is what people need for high blood pressure, right? We want
Mm.
something that will open up the vessels, dilate the vessels, so that it'll promote an ease of the flow of blood, right? So that's what a vasodilator does. St. John's wort helps with calming the nervous system, and so does holy basil. And holy basil can be found as a pill or the tea. And, it's called Tulsi. You'll see a
Mm-hmm.
lot of tea that says Tulsi, Tulsi, and it's the name brand of a tea you can find in Whole Foods or even in Mom's or probably in a regular grocery store. If you
Hey,
see Tulsi,
Poppy.
that is holy basil.
And I've actually gotten the holy basil pills off of Amazon. Because
Hmm.
when I say I went to work, y'all seen my little box of things, So I went to work. When one thing about it is, like, I just got tired. I am tired of taking a pill for this, a pill for that. Feels like it takes a pill to get me going. It feels like it takes me a pill to make me go back down. And I'm just sick of, like, I shuck pills. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
stuff them all down like it's a mouthful of candy. And it's like, I'm too young for that. So I was definitely open to different forms or different types of medicine. I'm definitely open to it. And I can say thus far, everything that Nicole has recommended to me has helped me immensely. Like, I just went out over the weekend and I danced without my cane. And y'all know that's not something that you would generally see happening.
Right.
Yeah. And it's the whole thing of it is, I mean, and just with Christina's question, also, because if you go to the park, you're not going to go if you have allergies and lay down in the grass and eat the grass and sniff the grass and drink the grass, because you know that's going to cause you to sneeze or to itch.
Problem.
So when you have a plant-based protocol, unlike a pill, once you take it, you've taken that dose. So you can measure the dose, but you're able to adjust. If you take tea and you just leave the bag in for 15 minutes to see how strong it is. You can always add a little bit more water to it. You can see if it immediately makes your lips tingle. If your lips tingle, there's a chance you really are allergic to that particular plant. So with a tea bag or actual herbal infusion where you can control how much of the herb you put in, that will give you an opportunity to kind of try some different things, and you can see, whether or not that's something that'll work for you or not. And so it's good to with plants. One thing that I try to remind people is most pharmaceuticals are made from a plant derivative. So aspirin is made from an actual plant, and the salicylic acid in the aspirin is what causes stomach pain, because pharmaceutical companies have abstracted the plant base from the actual plant and
Mm,
created something with preservatives that can stand in a warehouse, right, for
mm-hmm.
years. So there's preservatives and other things that keep aspirin in place into a pill. And also you can calculate dosage, right? So I can say 500 milligrams of Excedrin is what I'm giving someone. If
So
I give
K,
you
wait a minute. K Michelle was asking, is that the same as willow
yes,
bark? Yeah.
absolutely, that's it. So willow bark by itself, the components of the willow bark don't upset the stomach, because there are other things in it that add to the actual salicylic acid, which helps with constriction of blood vessels. Once again, we're talking about vasodilation, right? When you have a
Mm-hmm.
headache and you're tense, everything's tense. So that means you need to relax the blood vessels in your body, and mainly in your head, your brain, around your skull, if you're trying to decrease pressure in your head. So the whole herb, the whole plant doesn't cause the same problems as when you've pulled out the active ingredient and give it to somebody. So the problem is that if I'm trying to mass produce something like penicillin, one of the first things we learn in biology is that that was a fungi, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had a fungus that produced, and we found out that penicillin helps with bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
It's an antibiotic.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't put a warehouse full of fungi somewhere to sell it for millions and millions of dollars. You got to make it and use it quickly, just
Right.
like with these plant extracts. So some of these need to be refrigerated. If they're in alcohol, they can last for months, just like, if you were to preserve a pickle. So the thing is, plant-based medicine is excellent because you're using the natural components, which include the active components of the plant, which are there to heal, to prevent any type of problem that there may be, and also to maintain a healthy environment in the human body. So, it's so much. It's just like if you talk to most doctors, I mean, one of the first things they learn when you learn about the history of medicine, going back to Hippocrates, most people in ancient Greece and Rome went to Egypt to study in the mystery schools, and they learned about medicine. They also learn how to preserve the dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people who know about mortuary science learn that from Egypt, because you got pharaohs that's thousands of years old, and you still look at them and tell the facial features.
Right.
And a lot of that was because of the use of resins and plant-based types of protocols like frankincense and myrrh.
Okay.
So those are some of the things that are used. And this goes back from the beginning, when you can record people beginning to try to treat themselves. But anyway, but that's a little bit. But yes, definitely the actual plant itself has more strength in terms of how it can treat, because at the very least, you're going to get something that's going to provide a level of roughage and ability to cleanse the digestive tract.
Right.
And that's
So
because it's
I kind of have a question because I had to stop taking prescription medication because it actually resulted in me having an ulcer.
mm-hmm,
And that was due to me. I got into a well, not quite a car accident. It was a
That's
hit and
one.
run. I got ran over by a car and I ended up on a lot of different pain medications,
mm-hmm,
which resulted in me having an ulcer.
mm-hmm,
So I have tried to lately again start taking pill supplements, which seem to aggravate my ulcer. So
mm-hmm,
even though it's not over the counter medication or things like that, it's herbal supplements, but it seems to irritate my stomach the same way. And as what I'm hearing you say, because they have to have a shelf life,
mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm.
they have to make these things last. So if I'm hearing you correctly, teas are probably the better way to go.
And here's the thing, I don't like taking pills
Me
because
either.
I've had to take pills for my blood pressure for numerous years now. And
Mhm.
so when you're taking blood pressure medicine, if like I know, you're adjusting the medicine. The doctor will say, let's try this. Well, let's take you off the diuretic and let's put you on this. Well, let's try this diuretic and try. So it's like you're constantly taking medicine. Some of it is making you sleepy all the time, so you can't exercise. They want you to exercise. Some of it's making you dizzy, so you're surely not going to do no yoga and do some downward dog and fall and break your neck.
Girl, let me tell you,
And
my
give you
lips swelled up like this
so
Yep.
off
so
my blood pressure medication.
so I've been dealing with that, and then I started also dealing with some kidney stone issues. So
Oh.
a lot of it is because the medicine that we're taking does have toxic things. I mean, have you read
You said it. Yep.
have you if
Stuff.
you
Yeah,
look
and
at the
that's the
It
side
creates
thing.
effects?
other.
I
It
don't like
creates other
taking
things like
prescription
side effects.
meds.
But here's the thing.
So, like, I've been trying to take herbal
But it's a
supplements,
certain way, right?
and it's
And
tearing my stomach up the same way as
right.
these prescription medications.
Number one is because plant-based medicine can be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than a pharmaceutical drug. And
Okay.
I'll put an asterisk under that. That's because you're getting the
The raw
actual
form.
potency of the plant with
Mm-hmm.
all of its medicinal qualities.
Mhm.
So you got to figure out, number one, how to coach your stomach. Just like when you take medicine, it might say take with a meal, take on an
Mhm.
empty stomach. You
Okay.
ever seen the ones that say don't lay down for 10 minutes?
Or don't eat for 20 minutes
Don't,
till after you
right.
take it.
Because that's because you could have acid reflux. Because if you lay down, the medicine's going to come back up because it needs some time for your stomach juices to work on it.
Mhm.
Right. So what you want to do, just like with regular medicine, number one, I do like to work with people's physicians. So I tell people what I'm working with, what medicine I'm taking and what I'm doing as a herbal supplement. In fact, I've had people's doctors contact me to ask
Mhm.
what I'm doing because they want to do the same thing for other patients.
Right.
So one of the things you want to do is make sure that you have some food on your stomach. And you
Okay.
want to make sure that it's something that's going to coat your stomach, just like if you're taking a regular pharmaceutical, because these plant-based medicines have some of the same uh, ingredients or the same types of medicinal properties,
Mhm.
And sometimes more potent.
and definitely
It's
sometimes more
natural.
potent. So
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I have to be careful if I work with a client that's being treated for blood pressure that I don't give them something that's going to make their blood pressure go down too low. Because hibiscus, remember Wanda, hibiscus tea, that's a great tea, but it helps with high blood pressure. So if
Okay.
you're taking lisinopril, which is
Girl, that's what had me like this.
it'll also make you cough. So one of the side effects of lisinopril is the same as hibiscus. If you drink too much hibiscus tea, you'll notice you'll start coughing sometime, and people don't know what it is.
Mm.
It's because it has some of the same active ingredients in it as lisinopril does.
Mm.
So if you're taking blood pressure medicine and you want to gradually begin to work your way off of it, let your doctor know, because now doctors are 100% on board with plant-based medicine.
Yeah,
They're going
my
to learn.
doctor, when I told my doctor that I was starting to take some of this stuff and I was trying a holistic approach, she was so on board. She asked me what I was doing, and I
Mhm.
told her, and she was just like, I think she probably did a jumping dance through the phone,
Yeah,
like you could hear in her voice that she was
right.
happy that I was open to something else.
Right.
Mm.
And it's because they want to learn too, because a lot of times Western medicine, and I came from a medical background. I mean, I ended up getting a doctorate in biosociology, so I still kept it in biology, but a lot of medical doctors learn how to treat. You don't learn how to prevent or necessarily cure.
Sure. Right.
That's not the process for, your my job is when you're sick, if I'm a medical doctor, a Western medical doctor, is I find out what's wrong, I hear about your symptoms, and then I come up with something to treat the symptoms. So if
Mhm.
I'm treating your symptoms for asthma, I'm not healing you of
That's
asthma,
temporary.
right? If I'm
Mhm.
treating you for depression, I'm not healing you. And then I'm going to tell you that what you take might make you kill yourself if you are a certain age. I'm
Right.
not
Right.
going to,
Like could
so
come suicidal thoughts.
Mhm.
I'm like, what?
yes. And if you take something and you are vomiting something that looks like tobacco grounds, go to the doctor. It's always something. I'm not going to tell you that. The most that you're going to deal with, perhaps you may have diarrhea because you've taken too much, or either you may have an allergy to something, or you may be sleepy all the time because you're taking too much. So the goal really for plant-based medicine is to heal.
Find a
I want to
medium.
create an environment of homeostasis in the
Mm-hmm.
living organism,
Yes,
right? Remember
girl.
that biology? This the biology teacher coming
Mhm.
out, right?
Balance.
I
Balance.
exactly. So that what does that mean? That means mind, body, and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody talks about how stress kills. Why
Mhm.
does stress kill? Because it's emotional and it's physical and it's also spiritual. I'm
Mhm.
stressed out because of my relationship. I'm
Mental.
stressed out because of my job, which leads then to what? High blood pressure or a
Just,
stroke
yeah, those
or
cycles.
whatever.
Made
So
it.
the balance is, what do I do to the temple? How do I help the temple to heal? How do I
Mm-hmm.
protect myself mentally, physically, and spiritually? So one of the things that we've been talking about, Wanda, we've been talking about this for a while, is a couple of things that we've got to focus on, which is so important. Doesn't matter what medicine you're taking, whether it be plant-based or Western medical, medically based medicine, is we've got to stay hydrated. We don't have enough water in our bodies. Except Wanda. Wanda got
I'm
her.
guilty. I'm guilty.
Yeah. And our bodies are made of over, we go between 80 something percent and up to 96% water. It goes back and forth. But the bottom line is we are made from H2O. So we're
Mm-hmm.
dehydrated most of the time. We're also not nourished mentally or physically or spiritually. So we need to be nourished by what we eat. Water is like what we drink, what we read, and whose energy we communicate with. What energy
Oh,
are we with, right?
no.
If
Yes,
I
sir.
work
Very
on a
true.
job that's stressful, I'm not nourishing my spirit, right? So we
Right.
want to make sure we are hydrated, that we're receiving the type of nourishment we need on that level, and that we eliminate waste.
Mm.
So what do we consume with water? Because every cell of the human body needs to have fluid. Doesn't matter what system we're working with. You can't think straight if you're dehydrated. You can't run. You get muscle cramps. Your bones get stiff, and eventually you expire without water. Remember, people can live without food for a while, but they
Mm-hmm.
can't live without water. We also need to make sure we're eating the right things, we're reading the right things, we're listening to the right things, and that also we're getting rid of waste, and we're getting rid of anything in our space that is not equaling life.
And that's something I wanted to say. It's not just the medicine part of it. It's what you absorb into your, like you said, your space, the energies around you, even what you listen to on TV or the radio or whatever. All of that plays a part into the total healing. Because I realize that when I'm in a negative headspace, if I hear something on the TV, like I can't stand reality TV, those women, those housewives shows and things of that nature. But if I hear something like that coming at me and I'm already in a not so good headspace, it only makes me feel worse.
Mhm.
So a lot of times we don't think about the energies around us or that we're allowing that feed into our spirit as also being part of the affliction,
Right. Hmm.
but it really does play a part.
Yes. True.
Shit, it ain't just the TV shows, it's the people.
Right. The people, the energies. That's why if you notice when you come in my home, Sean and Courtney, this is something I got from Nicole. I have a brew that's sweet smelling, and y'all saw I smell the eucalyptus. I smell the lavender. I have a little bit of everything going in that pot because I'm making sure that any energies, not saying y'all, but the maintenance man could come in here. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what his energy is like, but any energies that comes through that doorway comes near my doorway. It got to be right because I got
Right.
to step out there in it.
Right. Because that negative energy will attach itself
Yes.
Oh,
in the
Freckles said,
atmosphere.
I'm sorry,
In the
Freckles said, I'm
atmosphere.
learning so much. Thanks for teaching us. You're welcome,
Thank you,
Freckles.
Freckles.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah,
that
it attach
really
itself.
does basically, like, it's so important. I say I preserve my peace at all costs.
Mhm.
And people don't understand that, but I'm willing to go to the ends of the earth for my peace, because if I don't have peace within self and spirit, then that's going to start the tension in my body, which is going to start the spasms, and it's just a
Right.
snowball effect.
Mhm.
Right.
And
And
people
that's
don't
the
think about
thing.
those little things.
Yeah, in your psyche, your energy of how you think of yourself, especially when someone's energy is not healthy and they
Mm-hmm.
toxic,
Mhm.
it can
Mm-hmm.
physically make you sick.
It really can.
Mhm.
It
You
really
know, it
can.
can make your food bad. I don't want to eat nobody's food that got an attitude. I don't want it.
No,
Right, because you
I
can
don't
tell the
either.
difference
Because
between
that
food cooked
energy,
with
you
love.
cooking with an attitude, all you doing is
Yes.
transferring that negative energy into the
Mhm.
food. And then
Mhm.
you
Don't
want to
touch
put,
my
no, no,
hair.
don't touch
Don't
my hair.
stick
Right.
That's
me up,
Don't
right.
touch
please.
me.
Right.
Don't
Don't
touch
touch
me.
me, please.
Hmm.
Right.
And
I'm real
and
cautious
me
about
being a
that.
massage therapist, when when the energy's not right and people want me to do body work on them,
Mm-mm.
I don't touch them. I
Mm-mm.
will
Exactly.
refuse.
Right.
No, no, you
I
gonna.
won't do it.
It's
But
scary to
here's
be
that's
around
another thing with
someone.
energy. Oh, I'm sorry, Sean. You were talking.
That's okay. No, I'm saying what I was saying is you ever be around someone they have done nothing to you, but whatever energy they have attached to them or that they projecting, you don't even like them and they didn't do anything. It's just like you're saying something about that person. I don't
Right.
like. I don't know what it is,
I
but
know
it makes
so
you
right.
uncomfortable and you just kind of out. Me
Yeah.
personally, I retract and I just sit back and just
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Right.
like I recall my energy away from that person. It's not a dislike, it's not a or whatever, but I just know that
Right.
my energy doesn't need to combine with your energy.
it literally
Mhm.
irritates me and I won't say anything. I'm like, I don't know what this person got on them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
like it. That I saw the
Right.
person in the hall and she spoke, I ran the other way. I literally started running the other
No,
way to get away from her.
but
And she's
sometimes you
nice as she
can,
can
but you know
be.
what? Energies can be that intense.
It was
Mhm.
that
You
intense. And
know,
she's done
let's give
nothing.
credit.
She is the sweetest
Let's
person.
respect that, because
She
they
was
can be that intense.
she's like, "Hush on." I took off and I went around down the steps and came and she was trying to find me. And
Yeah.
she's very sweet. I was like, I don't know what it is about her. I do
You
not
knew
like
something. You
being
knew
around
something wasn't
her.
right.
Something about her ain't right, and you reject that energy.
Right. But that's what, Wanda, with the brews, that's one thing. Before you came and we started actually working on the teas and the tinctures, that's one thing I said you could start immediately on your own, was
Mm-hmm.
making a brew for your home. And think about it. I remember my grandmother, and it wasn't just the holidays, she would put cinnamon in the pot and just let the boil water with cinnamon, and it would smell like apple pie all through the house all the time.
Mhm.
Or if she was making fish, she would sometimes, do something so we couldn't smell she was making fish or cabbage. She put something, clove or cinnamon, and just boil it. And I never thought about it that was aromatherapy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there are peer-reviewed studies that talk about aromatherapy and how the hospitality business does that as well. If you go into the lobby of a really high-end hotel, you can smell stuff. You can
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
smell a type of air freshener or
Mhm.
a type of scent in the lobby. And now you're going to pay attention to it even more, because studies have shown certain scents will relax people, will
Mm-hmm.
create an
Mhm.
environment where they want to drink more. If it's a
Mm-hmm.
bar or a restaurant, certain smells trigger the desire for people to stay, to hang
Mm-hmm.
around. And then that's another reason why you'll see salty food at a bar, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that is the gustatory sensory. We talk about what we taste. So the things that we taste create a response in the brain.
Mhm.
Right. Christina say they do that in open houses as well.
Yes,
Yes.
they do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mhm.
You
I
want to
do it
buy
in my
this house.
sessions. I
You want,
offer it. I don't even charge extra for it because
right.
I know that it helps add to the experience.
Right. There
So,
are even
mhm.
studies that talk about peer review, experimental design stuff, where they've shown that in hospital wards where they have severely, really ill people with cancer and ICU, that wards that actually pushed out a citrus smell
Wow.
an increase in the number of patients who recovered faster
Mm-hmm.
than
Whoa.
areas where there was no scent at all. So you actually and citrus smells are known for producing a feeling of excitement and life and energy.
Rejuvenation. Yeah.
Yep,
So the
it
smell
does.
of sweet orange, of certain types of lemon,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
grapefruit wasn't on there. I don't know what's wrong with grapefruit, but the smells of orange. I don't
I
really like
like pink
grapefruit.
grapefruit. I
I
love
love
pink
pink
grapefruit.
grapefruit too.
What
Yeah.
don't, but you going, you see what it might do the same thing. But the people came out the hospital with the lemon and the orange, and you'll notice if you're a massage therapist, lavender does help to relax. But
Lavender.
lavender also helps as a tea, and I also want to have that tincture that is lavender and mint. And
Peppermint
that,
is good for pain relief too.
yeah,
Mm. It
yep. So
also can
I
stop
use
headaches
that
too.
lavender, mint, and rosemary.
I
Rosemary
love
is
rosemary.
ferocious.
I
It
love
sounds sweet, but
rosemary.
rosemary, it does a lot of things.
Yes, it
So,
does.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they can tell you when they come into my home. What does it smell like, y'all?
Eucalyptus,
Everything.
everything. It's actually it's really good because it makes your the energy and heightens. You know what I mean? Especially when
Mm-hmm.
you have people that's high energy anyway, because you feel good about what you're gonna do. So she
Mm-hmm.
sets the tone before we even get there.
And
Right.
then I have the
Swear I saw rose in there.
Huh?
yes.
I
Huh?
no eucalyptus or peppermint in there.
Peppermint, eucalyptus. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a leaf. I don't know what that was, but
Bay
Hmm.
The bay
Probably my bay
leaf.
leaf.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I have
So
that
I do a
oregano,
little bit of everything.
And
Mm-hmm.
oregano oil.
Wanda is probably one of my best students. Wanda came and we talked about the basics. We did a brew for Wanda. And it was a spiritual experience. I mean, because you are trying to change the energy in your home,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
you're healing yourself.
Right.
At
Because
the
as you
same time.
inhale, think about what's happening. If people make those eucalyptus bowls back in the day, and it's the same thing that the Vicks vapor rub is
Oh
supposed to
yeah,
do,
yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
inhaling the scent of eucalyptus to open up the nasal passageways, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
create a brew, you're doing the same thing, but you're opening up certain things in the spiritual realm.
Mm-hmm.
Not it is what it is, right?
Right.
My energy is changing. I'm smelling lavender. I'm smelling sage. I put sage in some things. I know during the height of COVID, my house, we used a certain brew and we would inhale it. If we went somewhere, we would come and we would use the eucalyptus. I put frankincense in everything, lavender, basil, rosemary, essential oil, along with the lemon cut up, the
Mm-hmm.
actual sometimes garlic, but mostly ginger. I always
Mm-hmm.
use cloves. I use juniper berries, which are actually the main component of gin. So juniper berries are healing. They're good for inflammation, but they are the main component that makes the liquor gin. So
Mm-hmm.
they have a powerful purpose in teas as well as in brews. And then, of course, I always put the mustard seeds in for faith. But when you're inhaling that, those things have a purpose. And as they're going into your nasal cavity and then into your respiratory system, they're able to actually kill specific germs that have not yet made it to your bloodstream. So if I'm dealing with something that's just kind of hanging out in my nasal passage, which is what COVID was doing at first before
Mm-hmm.
it made its way through the rest of our respiratory system, the goal was to catch anything viral that may have been there. And it also would cause some things to be expelled either by the nose, by us being able to blow our nose, by us being able to cough up mucus,
Cough it out.
sweat,
Mm-hmm.
because you're sweating all over the place as well. So that's one thing that brews are for, in addition to for clearing the space and creating a different vibration in your home. So there's just as many brews that you can create as there are, you know, goodness,
So
different types
Christina
of herbs.
said, "Where can I get this stuff from?" I'll take that.
Wanda's in charge.
Sound like
She's
I'm gonna be a
she is
sound like I'm
look,
gonna be
and
a
this is what I
drunk
meant
because I
to
don't
say.
even drink.
Let me know.
Wanda is
I
my
want to know.
master's student. Wanda has a master's degree and she's been studying for 2 months, and she is on a level that exceeds anybody who I have worked with. So take it from there, Wanda. You got that question. That's you.
I want to know. I want to know.
um to be honest with you, you can get a lot of this stuff from Amazon, but you want to make sure that you get it in the organic, natural state. You
Mm.
don't want to just like, I get rose petal leaves. Believe it or not, you can actually eat rose
They're
petal
edible.
leaves. They're
Mm-hmm.
edible, but they have to be in their natural, organic state.
And
I
Wanda, it'll say restaurant or organic grade. So you know, like bakers can bake with those flowers.
right.
So it'll tell you if they're edible.
Right. So you just want to look at that on the package. And Christina, you can call me and I'll share with you the links of the stuff that I've gotten. But I have the juniper berries, I have rosemary, I have sage, I have basil leaves, because when I do a brew, I actually write on the basil leaves what my intention is. Like if I want to
Oh yeah, you can
increase,
do
like
that.
like decrease the poverty, or increase wealth, or better communication and things of that nature, I actually write my intention on the basil leaf before I put it in the brew. So you see, you never notice that part. A lot of times it has writing on it, but
That's
I
that
use the
part, Wanda. That's that part you don't want to get church people scared. You want
well, you know what? I am who I am, but I basically,
let me bring
my
out my
intention is always operating in a good spirit. It's coming from a spirit of love. It's not anything that
Wanda said I
is
have
to,
good intentions.
yeah, my intentions is always to
yes.
make me and Eric's situation better, individually and collectively. I pray for him, I pray for us, I pray for my friends. I've even prayed for you and Courtney.
But that's spiritually based. So
Right,
that
exactly.
I'm all there for it.
Yeah, and
You know,
that's how I operate. Like I
the
don't do anything
spiritual
that's not
wellness.
spiritually based. Like if you know me, you know I'm a very spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
But
But here's the thing: medicine is spiritual. See, if
yes,
people can, it any doctor, they may believe everything is based on knowledge and everything is in a book, but they've seen miracles.
right.
You
Yeah.
know, they've seen things happen that medicine and science can't
Can
explain.
explain
Right.
exactly.
So this is all of this is spiritual. When we say we don't like of the way someone's energy feels, energy is everything. And
Right.
that's one of the first things I started studying. And that's something else that Wanda, that's part of what I do in my practice, is everything we're doing with herbs is about the vibration and the ability of the herb's energy to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And
If,
you
if,
know, Nicole,
if,
I wanted to ask, like, kind of refer to that, but not get too deep as to where someone might get offended. But like that bridge between science and spirituality, how were you able to bridge that gap without it? You know, because
right.
scientific people can't wrap their minds around it sometimes.
Well, and that's funny you should ask that, Courtney, because let me tell you, I'm a scientific person. I
Mm-hmm.
worked for NASA headquarters as a program manager, as a scientific writer. I was one of the writers for the Educator Astronaut program. I wrote
Mm-hmm.
for the Space Shuttle program. One of the few Black contracting companies. We were mostly African American company. All
Mm-hmm.
we did was NASA work. And one thing that we knew, and most of us grew up in the church, was that science proves God.
Mm-hmm.
It's no
Okay.
question. The more people know about science, and I mean that really know, the folks who, like me, had top secret clearances, there's
Oh.
no explanation for any of this except God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There are things in space, and I was responsible for earth science, space science, all of the different programs that we were running as a minority contractor. $150 million contract, a bunch of African American people from North Carolina, Baltimore, and other places running the contracts. And There are these things in space that bow down to light. Nobody can figure out what it is.
Nobody can
Nicole has said
explain.
to me, Nicole has honestly said to me that her and one of her other people that work has actually come into the office and broke out into a praise
Just
dance
praising God. Because it's
Mm.
because
no
of what
way.
they've witnessed. And then Christine says, I'm sorry. Okay, can I share that when I'm high, is it possible to see people and feel their energy? You don't even have to be high. I can
You
answer
don't
that.
gotta be high,
You
folks.
don't have to be high.
You don't gotta be.
Yep, it's very possible. And we can
Yeah.
have the date
But
whenever
and it's
Christine
also
knows.
because you're relaxed too. I mean, when people are allowing their guard down, they're opening themselves up to energy.
You're more
So
open to receive that energy that's out there. Whereas when you're in your when you're what's the word?
Aware and receptive.
When you're sober,
yeah.
you're actually warding things off. You're more focused and you're trying to rationalize things. Whereas when you're in an enlightened state or a spiritual state or even drunk or high or whatever your poison may be, you're open to things. You're more relaxed to receiving these things.
You know, I'm the opposite. I'm the
Oh,
complete opposite. When I'm sober, all types of stuff comes through. And
Mhm.
that's why I find myself drinking a little bit more or, whatever, because I don't like it. I don't like people's, because it attaches. So
Hmm.
people's
Like a
energy
soul
tends
tie.
to cling to me like I'm a sponge.
Hmm.
So when I'm sober, so I'm
Well,
actually the opposite on that one.
Well, one of the things that I did want to say about science and spirituality, and this is something that I had already in my own relationship with God, I was told that I needed to do this speech. And I've been invited by the NAACP, who I used to work for, to go
Hmm.
out to Salt Lake City, Utah, and speak for their Martin Luther King luncheon.
Oh
And
wow.
I did it twice, but this particular time, God told me to do a speech on Martin Luther King and talk about how, as a NASA person, science proved God. And I said, well,
Hmm.
people are going to think I'm crazy. I'm going to get up here in front of all these people and I'm going to be speaking as somebody who came from NASA. I came from Baltimore first. Let's get that straight. But I worked, and I'm going to get up here and talk about how science proves God. So I get to the airport and I'm like, I got my speech written. And I'm like, God, you really don't mean this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pray on it. And then when I get to the hotel, I'm gonna try to rewrite this whole speech
Mm.
because I know you don't really want me to say this.
Right.
So I get to the airport and I find a book in the little store talking about how science and the Bible align. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay, that's another sign that I'm supposed to. I bought a little book, get back to the hotel, get my nerve together. I had quoted the scripture. I had quoted Genesis. I talked about creation and how it's absolutely perfect. It couldn't have happened by itself. And
Hmm.
every doctor, every scientist knows that. It was absolutely perfect. If it was like 1/100th of a thousandth of it's a fraction. If creation were that much more energy, that it would have destroyed everything.
Yeah.
It would have been too powerful to sustain a sphere, right? We got all these little circles that are planets and a moon and a sun that sit perfectly and do the same thing every year over and over and over again. They don't run into each other. They don't kill us.
Orbit.
And it's perfect.
Spinning, turning in orbit.
So creation is too perfect to have been a mistake.
Hmm. The
And
big boom.
if it had not been enough power, and I can find the fraction because I got the speech somewhere handwritten still because I was going to change it. I didn't type it. If it were too weak, that 1/100th of a millionth fraction less than enough power,
It would
creation
have
would have
never made it.
exploded.
Hmm.
And that's a black hole. When you have a black hole, it's because something that God might have been like, today I'm gonna change my mind. He just said, forget it. So things collapse in because it's not enough power to create a planet or a universe
Hmm.
or a solar system. So God is responsible for all of this. It's no question. So the more God created all these plants and they all had a purpose. They had a purpose to sustain, to provide nourishment, to provide healing, to provide shade in the heat, to provide a way to make clothing or to make rugs and textiles. And then later on, as our people found out the hard way, these things created a country that we worked for free with tobacco and cotton and other herbs that made this country wealthy, you know. So
And
all
a
of
whole food chain. Like, who
everything,
decided?
right. You can't even have meat without some veggies.
You know.
You're not gonna have a cow that doesn't eat grass or something. You're gonna have that cows, you're not gonna want that cow. So everything depends on the plant kingdom. And so my goal is just to help work with people so they can utilize it, understand the pharmaceutical industry's already found that out and they're making billions of dollars off of plants. And figure out how you can begin to have a relationship with plant-based medicine in a way that can help you mind, body, and spirit.
And
I'm with it.
with that, I want you to introduce because my back is starting to hurt in this chair. Courtney and Sean know me in this chair fight every week. But Nicole, I want you to tell them about your class and how they can get in contact with you for your services and whatever you'd like them to know about you. And first, I wanted to make sure Courtney and Sean didn't have anything else they wanted to ask because that was kind of rude of me. But
Well, I was going to ask, with the herbs, dude. I know I'm quite sure you have something that deals with people that have food sensitivity and allergies, and I'm one of those people. I'm so allergic to a lot of stuff, you know.
And a lot of that may be because you're not hydrated. A lot of times allergies go away along with asthma and bronchitis when we drink enough water.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people say, but I hate water. Okay, well, I don't think I can help you because everything is water. You know, our body requires it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do, and my doctor told me this years ago about losing weight and also managing my blood pressure, is
Right.
really to try to drink at least 8 ounce glasses of water, which means if you have one of those bottles, that's about 16 right there. The Dasani bottles of water, you almost have almost 16 ounces in some of those. So
Well, I drink water all day long.
then you want to continue to do that and then make a log down of what you know you're allergic to. Because some people it's pineapple, some people it's citrus stuff, some people it's pine cones, and there's some medicines that include the same types of ingredients that's in a pine cone. You know, so you might a Christmas tree. Some people Christmas trees make them itch, you know, if they're too close to it. So those are some things. If I were to work with someone, I'll ask, what are some things they know they have sensitivities to? And some people don't actually have allergic reactions. They don't have allergies. They have a sensitivity or
yeah, that's what I have.
a side effect.
I have a lot of food sensitivities and
Right.
food allergies.
Right. So we would talk about all those things, talk about the medicines that you're already on with your physician. Talk about
I stopped taking for that very reason. I do not take high blood pressure medicine because I don't like to feel sleepy. I don't like to feel dizzy, because I'm not a person that like to take a lot of pills at all, really. I'm more of a person who will take some what is it, if I have a headache, peppermint, rosemary, to stimulate my my temple to get rid of the headache. I'm not a person that like to take pills.
Okay. Yeah. So, but those are things, the questions that I ask. But one of them definitely is we got to try to eat things that make actually after you get straight with your prayer and aligning your mind and your spirit with whoever you call God, your body will start to yearn certain things that you need. It's the craziest thing. I'll start saying I need vegetables, or I need some water right now, or I'm in the mood for potatoes because carbs are not bad. We need them sometimes, so it'll start to be where you'll start to desire certain things that are helpful to you. Right. But that's a part of the process. And so if anybody is trying to reach me I have a website. I have a company called Unicorn Pharmacopoeia, and our website is www.unicorn, and it's bio pharma pharma And so I'm also on Facebook. If you pull up Unicorn Pharmacopoeia LLC, that'll pop up. And then also on Instagram, Purple Quartz Awaken. So it's Purple Quartz and then it's Awaken written out. That's how you can find me on Instagram. And I'm also going to be teaching a class tomorrow night. Our class is going to be from, I think we're 7 to 8 Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Time. If you go to my website and register, you'll see where you can sign up and leave all of your pertinent information. And then I'll be able to send you the link for our free class tomorrow night at 7. And it's called the Fundamentals of Plant and Herb and Plant-Based Medicine. And so for an hour, we'll be doing a free class where we're going to get a little bit deeper, talk a little bit about the history of plant-based medicine, about the types of plant-based and herbal protocols, and then we'll talk about some different strategies for treatment. And then after that, I'll be giving some information about my classes that I'll be giving, which will be, classes that'll be economic, but they're important information because I do take my time to give you the science as well as the basic essentials that you'll be able to adapt to your lifestyle. And then I do one-on-one work with people as well. So you definitely can reach me there. And then my personal email, which is for my company, is Dr. Nikki, Nikki Francis, Francis, at Unicorn Biopharma, PHARMA.net.
Jimmy said, "Thank you for all of the wonderful information."
That's what I just wanted to say. Thank you so much
Yes,
because you
Thank
ma'am.
shared
you.
so
This
much.
is good.
And
This is a good session.
and I know that you care about people and their health
Mm-hmm.
mentally and physically. And
Thank
I
you.
just, and spiritually, and I appreciate that so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all.
This
Thank you
Thank
for
was
having
just
you.
an
me.
It's so
honor.
nice to meet you. I can't wait to talk
Yeah,
to
this
you
was an
again.
honor, and I'm definitely going to be on your page, signing
Yes.
up.
Yeah, reach out
Listen,
to me and you'll see stuff I post regularly on the Facebook page. Wanda's been posting her brews on there and all her tea and all of that.
yes, she does. She
And I'm
does.
excited about my new pot set. I got a new acrylic pot, so I'm gonna be showing that off.
I know that's right, girl.
Okay, so I just wanted to say thank you all for joining us tonight. I hope that you've learned something from Dr. Nicole Ford Francis. Reach out to her on her pages. I know Purple Course Awaken on Instagram, Dr. Unicorn Pharmacopoeia LLC is on Facebook. Also, remember that I am an affiliate for the brand plan and makeup by Yolando.com. So use my code Wanda at checkout. The eyeshadows that I have on came from the
You are in the
777
dark
page.
right now.
I'm in the dark. Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Well, look, they could see me earlier, but
Right.
look, they could see me. I took pictures,
Okay.
but the look that I have is all greens tonight, and it came from the 777 palette. The glitter actually came from Amazon, but yeah, the eyeshadow came from Plan and Makeup by Yolando. And I'll post pictures in case you can't see the look right now, but it's kind of cute if I do
Yes,
say
it
so
is.
myself. Um, and I just thank you so much for taking your time for coming on with me each and every. Remember, we're now 8 o'clock on Wednesdays. I think this worked out a little better. So, watching Wanda's World on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. We love you. Peace and blessings. And I'll see you next week.
See
Thank
you.
Love
you.
Thank you.
y'all.
Good night.
See you.
Mhm.